Recently, I read an article by former Laikipia Governor Nderitu Murede asking the Kenya Kwanza administration to consider a low interest rate regime. That article was in Daily Nation. And I took keen interest on it because I am not an economist, but I like listening to economists. I think when you listen to economists, they help you really dissect what to hear in the political scene and what really is happening in reality, the real situation. So they paint the real picture. Today, I want us to do one of the analysis that I normally like best. Those who follow the ball, that I like talking about money. So today I want us to talk about money. And in relation to this latest trending report from United States of America about the inflation. So one of the greatest challenges that Kenya is facing now is soaring prices of goods, pressing Kenyans harder. This started way back at COVID, post-COVID pandemic, and I remember the political class. It got its way in the political campaign, and many leaders will find a way of defending themselves. While President explained to Kenyans and went out in public saying that me, I'm not responsible for the prices of goods because some of those are affected by the war in Ukraine and the COVID-19. And William Ruto, who was on the other side of the political divide, decided to tweak that message and said that a president not was not on the right to apportion blame on those global events, or rather on those global occurrences. So what we ended up with is that our inflation has been high. Let me take you to the list. In the United States of America, for the year 2022, the inflation had been high in the tune of 7.1, and so, and it was in its highest at in the month of June at 9.1. But they have good news that I want to relate directly that Ruto should actually gather and work with, because drastically their inflation has dropped to 6.5. And so let's go along so that you find out how it has worked out for them. And this is something that Kenya, what we are doing, and see whether these are lessons that we need to learn from Biden. Back to Nderitu Muridi's article. According to when President was in the round table meeting with the journalists, he said that our inflation had dropped from 9.6 in May, and not in May, in November, to 9.5 in December. And I know to some Kenyans who may not be so much into this, that was packaged as a reprieve or as success story or as a way that we are on a very positive trajectory. It's far from it. It's actually far from it. Can I tell you what the reason number one is? We have a huge chunk of unemployed population. Our labor space is shrinking, but remember, consumption is still there. No, even if people don't have jobs, these people must eat, they must put on clothes, and they must. Life still has to move on. And so that is how we've been pressed. So there is something that Nderitu Muridi alluded to. He said that for some long time, the Central Bank of Kenya have been increasing the interest rates, lending interest rates. Interest rate is the cost of credit. Cost of credit is amount of money that lenders charge on those who pay, on those who take loans. So the increasing the interest rates has been an intervention to make sure that when the interest rate is high, the cost of borrowing become high, because kama pesa unalipa ukikopa ni juu, many people will shy away from borrowing or then will borrow less because of the tax, because of the interest burden. So what they normally do here is, when there is a lot of money in circulation, they take the interest rate high, and central bank does that. When the interest rate is high, it slows down the economy. So when people are not borrowing, it means consumption and investment goes down. With consumption going down, the demand goes down. So it's just playing with the demand curve. And when the demand curve, when the demand goes down, it helps to lower the price of goods. Unfortunately, whatever I was telling you has been what this country has struggled to do for more than 3 years ago, and the same as what US tried. This is it. US inflation dropped to 6.5 because of one reason: the cost of fuel, the cost of energy. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what is the gist of this analysis. That President Ruto, I know, have had very elite economic policies and interventions on the cost of living. And by the another term to the cost of living is just inflation. It just, there is the value of living. Now another economist, another gentleman was telling me, Kevin, there is cost of living, there is value of living. Because nowadays people are making a choice between, is there value of me living if the cost is high? So that's where there is a lot of, a lot of illicit murders. Because someone says we seem to be losing the value of living because the cost of living is high. So unless we tackle the cost of living, we are also devaluing the value. Maybe it's just the differences in the English. But then I hope the point is home. So guys, President Ruto have shown us interventions. And one that I just wanted to face is removing the fuel subsidies, which was, it's in the long term that's not sustainable when the price of fuel is down. And in fact, it is not sustainable because of to what extent it's been subsidized and because of other intermediaries in the energy sector. In fact, cartels in the energy sector. I totally want to agree. Because of the cartels in the energy sector, this has really been difficult. But the most important ingredient in this issue of cost of living is reducing the cost of the producer. When the producer price is down, the consumer price goes down. Very simple. When the cost of value addition, manufacturing goes down, then it means the cost that is used to produce goods goes down. And it's you will realize, today I was talking to a farmer, someone from Kirinyaga, was talking, and I was asking, I was just doing some research on coffee and tea reforms. And he told me something I just want to tell you. He told me that minimum return is 20, I think that was coffee, is 21 shillings. But then the plucker, the guy plucking takes 13 shillings from it, and the other owner takes 7 shillings. But at the end of it, if there is a cost of logistics, and that's why coffee reforms is not just as easy as going to talk to the cooperatives or the auction or the auctioneers in Nairobi, because at the end of the day, even if they want to sell, they want to buy from the farmer at 30 shillings per kg, there is the cost of logistics, transporting it to the auction in Nairobi and in Mombasa. So that is there. So because the cost of logistics, it is affected by the other things. So even if President Ruto is trying everything best, I want to fault on this: the cost of energy. Today I bought tokens. I've not paid it. Let me just check I want to tell you how much I have paid. I just want to get it here. I just bought tokens today. Where is the message? Yes. I bought tokens at 250. Then I got 12 units. 12 units. 250 sometime back was very good units. These ones I'm going to use for only 3 days. Yeah, because of the nature of work. Actually, 2 days. So what are we saying here? What we're simply saying here is we have costs, and energy is not only a production cost, it's also a household cost, especially in the urban centers. People use power throughout. So there are a lot of money that goes into that could still be diverted and to help into other aspects. That is why I have seen a very interesting strategy. The cost of living have been simplified as a maize issue. But we look at it, and I think I understand that it's complex than that. Borrowing from what you're saying, and I want to relate this with energy. Government have, according to me, for lack of a better word, used a very orthodox argument that because we can't subsidize, we want to subsidize production, we want to tilt government land or agricultural federation, I don't know, Kenya Posta to give us land, parastatals to give us land, government land, idle land. We want to tilt that land and do farming so that when we produce our maize, we're going to have enough and it is going to reduce the prices of maize. I think that is it. Do you know that even if you're going to get the land at free, at a lesser cost, which is fine, but the cost of inputs is still high, which then borders on energy. Hata kama unaenda kulima na tinga is using fuel, it's still high. When you do the resultant effect on the price, it may not be very effective. So that's why you can't feed, of course you can't feed a nation. I understand that it is PPP, then that makes it even more complex. That PPP, this means public-private partnerships. So someone is injecting his money. Government is giving you land, na mtu anatumia pesa yake. This person is gonna buy inputs with the prices are high. Is gonna tilt this land using tinga. The John Deeres are going to use energy, fuel, which we have people we are taking there, laborers there. So what are we saying? We're simply saying that let's not run away from it, borrowing from this US strategy, that we need to address the cost of fuel. I don't know what that really would portend, but bordering on what Nerito Muridi said, and I want to really stand firm on that, saying, he said that the high economic activities, when you have low interest rate regime, the high economic activities in the country and investment helps in consumption. With high consumption, we are also expanding the labor market. Now, expanding labor market means that we are also going to get people to employment. When there are many investment projects, people are building their houses and there are different structures, and the consumption is high, that means that companies that are producing goods are also increasing their scale of production. To that effect, people are also going to get jobs. So we have to choose a template that works. And for me, I did this analysis objectively on the premise of what US got right. The tax question, or the interest rate question has been there, but it's not giving us what it is. The challenge, I know, is that we've had our own problem with energy. But even in Africa, we've not yet exploited the full potential of us producing energy. Ladies and gentlemen, what's your take, and what do you think we should adopt the American template, and also related to what Nerito Muridi is talking about?